Hello, thank you. You're all just so kind. Thank you so much. Please have a seat. Thank you. So welcome back to Night Live News. Today, we are discussing the age-old question: is industrial relations relevant in student lives? With us to discuss this topic is Veronica, arguing why industrial relations is relevant to student lives, and Anna, arguing why it's not relevant to student lives, and of course, myself, Alif. But to start, let's first define industrial relations. Industrial relations is a multidisciplinary field that studies the employment relationship. It examines various employment situations, not just ones with the unionized workforce. Take, for example, Northwestern University or the University of Pennsylvania. Athletes are seeking compensation under Fair Labor Standards Act. Should these students be learning about industrial relations? If so, what importance is it for them to be learning about industrial relations? What exactly is the relevance?
To start up this debate, I would say yes, it is important because these athletes are seeking compensation under Fair Labor Standard Acts, which cover the context of procedural protection, increased freedom, their financial rights, healthcare benefits, and pension plans. Industrial relations is crucial to students because it provides them with a safety boundary against exploitation. It is relevant in providing practical values of ideas and insights that helps to implement ethical policies and practices.
To dive into the matter at hand, what exact purpose would the integration of unions serve to these students? Not all jobs have and require unions. Educating them on a topic focused around economics, sociology, and the management of employee and employer relations is proving to be pointless and irrelevant to student lives.
Plenty, actually. Take, for example, student athletes at Northwestern University and University of Pennsylvania arguing about the unionization to provide these athletes with a number of benefits, such as healthcare. The purpose is that this fosters peace between student athletes by providing good and positive relations between the university and the athletes, so a creation of a peaceful environment that can be achieved when unions diminish unilateral actions that prompt confusion and misunderstandings. Peace in turn breed prosperity.
As a note, it is commonly found that athletes undergo psychological and mental concerns, scrutiny for the cognitive issues, depression, and other significant health conditions that can result from participation in the sport.
Hence why we need to resolve or accommodate these concerns in terms of catastrophic injuries and long-term health problems to these student athletes if this is the case.
But the National Collegiate Athletic Association, otherwise known to be as the NCAA, is a non-profit association that regulates the athletic programs of many colleges and universities. The association is made out of representatives from the schools and the schools' presidents. The decision ruled by the NCAA is that the efforts made by student athletes to unionize will fundamentally undermine the purpose of college.
However, by law, these students athletes do meet the common law definition of what an employee is, and in the event of possible exploitation tactics of these students, they should be given the right to take legal actions voicing these concerns, and the best way is through the formation of unions.
Like I said, the ESA and the Human Rights Code are both invested documentation of legal actions in which these individuals can take. Most of these students would have already had prior knowledge of these existing documentations. As long as they are considered to be an employee, in this case you are saying they should have complete access to these documentations set by the government.
Correct. But these athletes aren't on the receiving end of the multi-billion-dollar industry of college sports. The enforced amateurism of college athletics prevents schools from inadequately compensating athletes. But knowledge of industrial relations and the important mediations of a union can give these students the opportunity and protection they very much need.
Well, if colleges are forced to pay salaries and provide insurance for every sport equally, then there would be a financial disaster added into the fray. But paying for just one sport as an employee will undermine other extracurricular activities the university is involved with. And if funding goes specifically to athletics only, there's no budget left for other students who may need it for their club activities, which demotes the interactive community of the student body.
No, I disagree. If these athletes start getting paid like employees, then they will be able to pay off their tuition. Not to mention student loans, assuming that they have student loans to pay after college.
It is arguable that we allow athletes to play profitable sports like football or basketball. However, to unionize will only permit less profitable sport groups to join or create their own unions. So if that is the case, we should consider changing school rules to permit a special class of professional student athletes rather than creating unions.
But it is a costly operation to suggest, especially when you take into account that these students are given scholarships, bursaries, and other financial aids just to be there. On top of it all, these students understand that there is no longevity to playing for the team. Same goes for the internships and the volunteer work that these students participate in. These are all strictly voluntary by the students themselves.
But an argument against changing school rules to permit a special class of professionals to increase profitable sport is that it will promote inequality in the student athletic field. If student athletes are considered employees, then the student athletes would be spending more time in their athletics rather than their academics, which seemingly defeats the purpose of getting an education in university.
I agree. Take, for example, Brown University. They argued that graduates engaging in collective bargaining would undermine the nature and the purpose of the graduate's education. Most doctoral programs require these students to teach or even conduct research before they can earn their degree. Hence why universities are focused around education and not the economic relationship of these students. Even Stanford University claimed that students in a bargaining process can disrupt operations. If negotiations include a length of a class, the amount of grade that they must receive, or what is included in the curriculum, it can lead to a lengthy and expensive bargaining process. This potentially being a detriment to all students.
But it is crucial to identify the main issues of the problems by allowing both the graduate and scholarship athletes to voice their concerns in an agency through unions. These unions will provide basic health benefits to graduate students, such as dental insurance, and without unionization legal, graduate students' employees will receive higher levels of personal and professional support and a far better pay. So the collective bargaining will provide the graduate students with the power to push for demands.
Studies have concluded that some of these students who play football spend 50 to 60 hours or more per week on the sport itself.
I agree, which is why this constitutes for more hours than what a regular employee would be working. The amount of time that the football players spend on their sport is significantly higher than the amount of time that they spend in their studies. Graduate students see their relationship with the university as an academic relationship, whereas the athletes would say their relationship with the school is one that is more economic. So players are not required to play football to be able to get their degrees. And henceforth, it is crucial to understand that scholarship athletes should be employed equivalent as a graduate student.
But from a pluralist perspective, industrial relations generates a biased opinion as the student goes on. It makes the students feel as though they're being told what to do a majority of the time. This, rather than looking at a prospective employer as someone who can help them develop their skills and abilities. Because of this, the scope of industrial relations is a very narrow focus. It creates that us against them mentality, where there are contract negotiation problems such as strikes and lockouts. This can delay and disrupt the studies of these students, undergraduates and graduates alike. This becomes a problem of having to bring in the uses of the union to negotiate the terms and conditions between these two divided groups. However, this approach suffers from limitations on both sides. It limits them to arrive at an agreement in a free society, so power distribution is not necessarily equal among the competing sides. It's also a costly affair in both the short and the long run.
If we're to argue on the best type of approach to industrial relations for these cases, then it would be the unitary approach, as it assumes that everyone benefits from a common interest or goal. Unitary approach is founded on mutual cooperation, teamwork, and shared common goals. If there are any conflicts at the workplace, then it is temporary aberration caused by poor management or mismanagement of employees. In this case, it would be a mismanagement of students, and strikes are disregarded as destructive.
Regardless of such, the regulation of the workplace and interaction between employers and unions do remain as a key concern to the field of industrial relations. Industrial relations needs to maintain a multidisciplinary approach to issues of students and in the school's relationship. It needs to connect the micro-level issues at the workplace level with the macro-level issues in society and the economy. Yet, with regards to whether industrial relations is relevant to student lives or not, we'll leave that for you to decide. Until next time, this is the reporter Alif, signing out.